Among the 195 countries in the world, which ones are considered the poorest? What are the reasons for poverty in each of these countries? In the following, we will introduce the 10 poorest countries in the world with information collected for the year 2023. It is difficult to determine a single reason for poverty in these countries, but the most important ones include internal and external conflicts, corrupt governments, political instability, lack of rule of law, historical colonization, and global crises such as COVID-19, among others, which have placed these countries in a dire economic situation. Number 10. Madagascar. Madagascar, an island country in Africa, with a population of 28.8 million, has a GDP PPP per capita of 1907. The main reasons for poverty in Madagascar include French colonization, political tensions and instability, violent coups, economic and social consequences of the global COVID-19 pandemic, drought due to climate change, and rising food prices with the attack on Ukraine. Number 9. Chad. Chad, with the 10th largest oil reserves globally, is located in the dry lands of Africa, with a population of 18.5 million. The GDP PPP per capita in Chad is 1807. The primary reason for poverty in Chad is the misuse of oil revenues for suppressing rebellion by its authoritarian ruler Idriss Déby. Other contributing factors include drought, lack of infrastructure, climate change, and food insecurity. Number 8. Liberia. Liberia, the oldest republic in Northwest Africa, with a population of around 5.5 million, experienced high economic growth until 1979. However, it is currently ranked as the 8th poorest country globally with a GDP PPP per capita of 1789. The significant reasons for poverty in Liberia include coup, poor leadership and tribalism, internal wars, extensive destruction of infrastructure. The country is currently facing issues such as corruption, violence against women, and unequal wealth distribution in society. Number 7. Malawi. Malawi is a very small country in southeastern Africa, landlocked and with a population of around 21.2 million. The economy of Malawi is heavily dependent on rain-fed agriculture, and it is vulnerable to climate changes and shocks. The GDP PPP per capita in this country is 1688. The primary reasons for classifying Malawi among the top 10 poorest countries in the world include severe food insecurity in rural areas, colonialism by Britain, economic crises, fuel shortages, high food prices, and severely devalued currency. Number 6. Niger. Niger, a landlocked country in Western Africa, is surrounded by arid lands and has a population of approximately 25.4 million, with a human history in the region dating back over 280,000 years. The GDP PPP per capita in Niger is 1,600. The major reasons for poverty in this country include over 80% of its land being desert, facing desertification challenges, internal conflicts with government forces against Islamic or Boko Haram-affiliated groups, political instability in recent years, high population growth heavily reliant on agriculture with small scale, food insecurity and high mortality rates and disease spread. Number 5. Mozambique. Despite experiencing economic growth of +7% in recent decades and possessing rich natural resources, Mozambique is among the top 10 poorest countries in the world. With a population of 34.1 million, it is located in southeastern Africa, and its GDP PPP per capita is 1584. The significant reasons for poverty in Mozambique include unstable weather conditions, political and social instability, attacks by Islamic insurgent groups in the north, affecting gas-rich regions and insufficient planning. Number 4. Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, located in the heart of Africa, gained independence from Belgium in 1960. With a population close to 112 million, it is the second largest country in Africa, and its official language is French. Despite its significant resources, why is the Congo ranked fourth among the top 10 poorest countries in the world? The main reason can be attributed to colonial and dictatorial rule that, coupled with internal wars, has shattered the country's economy. Repeated political instability and persistent violence are the major challenges for the people of this country. Other significant factors contributing to poverty in the Congo include corruption and armed conflicts, hindering the exploitation of natural resources, prolonged periods of political instability and internal strife, widespread corruption and inadequate infrastructure, weak legal institutions and poor educational and healthcare conditions. Despite these challenges, the Congo, given its rich natural resources such as cobalt, copper, vast arable lands, potential for hydroelectric power generation, large rainforests, and biodiversity suitable for tourism, has the potential to transform into a wealthy African nation. Number 3. Central African Republic. The Central African Republic, with a population of 5.5 million, is landlocked in the heart of Africa. Its GDP PPP per capita is 1127. Similar to the Congo, the Central African Republic is rich in mineral resources, including gold, oil, uranium, and diamonds. However, why is this land considered the third poorest country in the world? Despite gaining independence from France in 1960, the fragility of this country, driven by the lack of social cohesion, social inequalities, political power concentration, and mismanagement of natural resources, has led to a dire situation. Additionally, the presence of anti-government groups and quasi-military activities contributes to the underdevelopment of this nation. However, in recent years, the Central African Republic has managed to improve its average economic growth. This positive change is attributed to the revitalization of the agricultural sector, timber industry, and partial sales of diamond mines. An important question arises: why are some resource-rich countries in Africa poor? Is the ongoing internal conflict and corruption a common factor for poverty in these nations? Does the shadow of colonization still exist? If you're interested in more information about these questions, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Number 2. Burundi. Burundi, previously considered the poorest country in the world, is now ranked second among the top 10 poorest countries. With a population of 13.1 million, Burundi is a small landlocked country in the heart of Africa, and its GDP PPP per capita is 890. The primary reason for the extreme poverty in this country is the absence of natural resources. Burundi has also endured a 12-year internal conflict. Approximately 80% of the population is engaged in agriculture, yet food insecurity is twice the average of other African countries. Challenges such as limited access to water and sewage systems, floods, severe droughts, lack of livestock, the spread of COVID-19, less than 5% access to electricity, and inflation have worsened living conditions for its people. Number 1. South Sudan. Finally, South Sudan is identified as the poorest country in the world, with a GDP PPP per capita of 476. Since gaining independence from Sudan in 2011, South Sudan has been plagued by tension, with a population of 12.1 million. Situated in the center of Africa, it boasts rich oil reserves, ranking as the 12th largest oil producer on the continent. From 2017 to 2023, this country has experienced a 7-step drop and now ranks first among the poorest countries in the world. The primary cause of extreme poverty in South Sudan is the long-term internal conflicts. These conflicts have disrupted economic activities and even agriculture, leading to severe economic instability. Additionally, the country's heavy reliance on oil exports makes it highly vulnerable to global oil price fluctuations, significantly impacting its income and economic conditions. Other factors contributing to South Sudan's position as the poorest country include corruption, natural disasters, limited infrastructure, poor educational and healthcare conditions, hindering human development and social gaps and inequalities. Due to the lack of statistics from countries like Afghanistan, Syria, etc., experiencing prolonged internal destructive wars and counter-terrorism efforts, their names are not included in this list. Nevertheless, these countries can also be considered in a similar context. In conclusion, examining the top 10 poorest countries in the world reveals a complex interplay of historical, political, and economic factors that have contributed to their challenging circumstances. From the lingering effects of colonization and dictatorships to internal conflicts, corruption, and a heavy reliance on natural resources, these nations face formidable obstacles on their path to development. While some countries, such as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Central African Republic, Burundi, and South Sudan, are endowed with abundant resources, their potential for prosperity has been hindered by a myriad of challenges. Political instability, social inequalities, and inadequate infrastructure continue to impede progress, despite the wealth of natural assets. It is essential to recognize the resilience and potential for growth within these nations. Despite their current struggles, countries like the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with its vast resources, and Burundi, with recent economic improvements, have the capacity to transform their fortunes. As we delve into these issues, it's crucial to contemplate the broader questions of why some resource-rich nations in Africa remain impoverished and whether the shadows of colonialism still linger. The ongoing internal conflicts and corruption pose common challenges for these countries, warranting a deeper exploration of their root causes. In the face of adversity, there is hope for positive change. By addressing issues such as corruption, political instability, and fostering sustainable economic practices, these nations can chart a course towards prosperity and uplift the lives of their citizens. Understanding these challenges and advocating for solutions will be key in supporting these countries on their journey towards a more stable and prosperous future.